They are the Rebel Alliance's ultimate strike force, sleek, swift and deadly. For these X-Wing fighters, no job is too dirty or too dangerous. Now they must rise to meet an impossible challenge, stop a powerful warlord by pretending to be his ally. X-Wing Iron Fist. Against all odds, the controversial Wraith Squadron has survived its first covert mission, but now they are called upon to cheat death twice, this time where Gentili sends them in to stop the warlord Singe and his super star destroyer, Iron Fist. If Zinj joins the Empire, it could turn the tide of war against the rebels, or the New Republic. The Wraith Squadron's mission are to infiltrate the warlord's fleet and uncover his carefully guarded plans. To do so, they must pose as ruthless pirates seeking to join Zinj's forces, and that means first becoming pirates in space lanes teeming with Imperial Navy patrols. If that isn't enough to get them killed, they'll have to pass one last test, a suicide mission for Zinj. Can they survive the test and turn the tables on Zinj, or is this the end for Wraith Squadron? Hello there, and welcome back to the EU in Review, where I review the Star Wars Expanded Universe as I experience it. Finally back, and with an all-new formula to hopefully, well, they won't be as long videos, but also retain some attention. If you want to go into more detail to discuss things with me and what I thought on particular points in the story, you can join the Discord, which I have a link in the description below, or message me on Twitter or social media where you find me. Today I'm going to talk about Star Wars X-Wing Iron Fist. Book 6 in the X-Wing series, and the second book focusing on Wraith Squadron. Basically really enjoyed this book as well. I'm enjoying the whole X-Wing series, but it's in a very different way to I enjoy some other books that focus on the Force and to the Empire, but it's a different type of story. A little anecdote for that is I tried to get my dad to read the first book of the X-Wing series, and he didn't really get into it a lot, but he quite enjoyed Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn trilogy, so an interesting one. The takeaways from this is there's a lot of more characters, and I think what I would say for this one, it does feel like the middle of a story. One of the things I wasn't quite as keen on was that I felt like it didn't really have a solid ending to the story if you're just reading the book by itself. This one's very much like, oh, we got one step further in the mission, but then we have to go on to the next book to get the rest of the story. Which makes sense for the series, but as a book itself, I go, I feel like there was a bit more resolution to the goal they were going after, which does in the next book, but I'll talk about that later. Do I recommend it? Yes. X-Wing series recommend the whole time. I've got some key questions I'm going off of for my new formula, so recommend it. Good read. If you like this combination of X-Wing stuff, actually I'd recommend, if you like the West End games, Star Wars RPGs, or Star Wars RPGs in general, this has a very RPG feel to it. Aaron Allston, compared to Michael Stackpole as I'm reading it, feels a bit more like, oh, this is a group of players that are going through and playing their RPG adventure. And the collection of characters is the main thing that does that for me, because you've got Piggy, and you've got jokes about Ewoks and stuff that keep going on. With one of the funny ones is the whole thing of Lieutenant Ketch. They started up, and what I love about it is that they joke about it, and it's just a running joke through the whole thing, and then it just keeps building and building to a higher level. An essential read for the era. Compared to the Rogue Squadron books, I would say it's not quite as essential a read for the era, because like the Rogue Squadron books go through and go on with the capturing of Coruscant and big events with the establishment of the New Republic that way. Whereas this is mopping up of a Imperial Warlord and a focus on that. So I would say not quite as an essential read as the Rogue Squadron books for major events in the era, but of course if you're going to read Courtship of Princess Leia and you're going through and reading some of the major events in the books, this is definitely a lead into that and the positioning of where characters are there. Features Han being a general of a capital ship, which I think is one of the big flagpole. Oh, where's Han at this point? And it's really interesting to see him in a different role to when we last saw him. It's also quite interesting, I think, how Wraith Squadron are like Commandos first and Pilots second, and then they end up with a combination of different starfighters between. They have some whatever they can scrounge up, because New Republic is low on resources and can't provide them all with X-Wings. More on that in the next book, but that's interesting to see. Really fun ride. You get the interactions between characters, you get some really interesting backgrounds with Piggy and other characters. They all have their flaws, and then they're all also on their own little personal story arcs, which in a way I don't think some of them resolve as much as I would like in the single book, because some of the problems are more introduced in the book but then not actually resolved, and that's where I feel like, yeah, you sort of need to read it all in the series, and that's just one of the downfalls of this middle book, I'll call it. Because the next book is the last one chronologically, and then you go into Courtship of Princess Leia. Quite enjoyed reading it, and it's been good, so gets a thumbs up from me. Woo! Trying to talk about a critique of it a little bit more in these as well, rather than just, oh yeah, here's all the things I loved. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my thoughts. So this will grow and evolve as I do more of these types of reviews. I know a bit more what to say, but I thought I'd keep these shorter. And if you want more information, as I said, Discord down below, comment. It's a YouTube video, you can just comment a question, or what did you think of this particular part of the novel? You can do that. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed hearing my new formula and thoughts on the book in general. And I will see you in the next video. Hey,